Hello, friends, and welcome back. Episode 39, Coffee with Carl. Here we go. I hope you guys liked the last episode. It was a little bit different, but it was a beautiful day, and my mother, my sister were both available to come and hang out. And I know it's a little bit, first of all, sorry about the focus in that one. It's really kind of difficult to be in front of the camera and checking your focus and all that stuff. So a lot of times you just rely on the camera to do what it does, which like 50% of the time is the wrong thing. No matter how good we are now, and even Canon has like AI focusing and stuff like that, and face priority where supposedly it will detect your face, that will not always work across all exposures. So sometimes in a case like that, the background was much lighter than we were. So it was kind of thinking to itself, if a camera can think, okay, well, what's lighter should be what I focus on. And that's actually the same camera that I use for my regular sit down at the table kind of sections and B-roll. And it's usually really good about locking onto the subject. In that case, however, it didn't work. So I tried to do as many overlays as I possibly could to sort of, not take you out of the moment. And, a while ago, I learned that the most important thing about video is actually audio. And as long as your audio is somewhat decent and clean, people will watch anyway. Especially when it's people sitting around, like, once you get a feel for what somebody looks like, you really don't need anything else. So anyway, it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit different. And I always thought it was fun to get opinions of people who aren't in this world to sort of help bring you back to normal. After a little while of spending, a lot of time in the, a good flannel is $300 and boots that are $5 or $6 or $7 or $1,000 or whatever it is. You need people to kind of bring you back because let's face it, those are very, very high prices. When you understand what you're getting, I think that's when it's easier to justify to yourself. You say, well, this Ironheart flannel costs $360, but feel it. Look at it. I mean, it is really in a class of its own. And if I had to get rid of all of my flannels and only had 3 of these or something, then I could see it, right? But until you've actually felt one of those things, and there's not a whole lot of stores around me until you go into like New York City where you have Salvage and Standard and Strange and places like that where you can actually sample these things, you don't really understand just how good they are. And that's something that I think, we who are sharing this discussion understand. So if you're not one of us, then you think that that's absolutely outrageous. And so I understand that. And I think sometimes it's just good to have that perspective, which they provided. So hopefully you enjoyed that. But anyway, episode 39. That reminds me, have you ever seen the movie The Island? It had, what was his name there? Not Liam Neeson. Oh God, I can't remember his name. He played opposite Liam Neeson in episode 1. And McGregor, something like that. It's just escaping me right now. And Scarlett Johansson, which I remember her name. It's actually an interesting, if you've never seen it, it's an interesting movie. And it's all about these uber rich people who basically have like this agency grow people in an underground lair. And more or less these people who are your clones are there for like spare parts. So if you get cancer of something or whatever, you have an identical clone who can give you their liver or whatever. They're basically harvested if needed, which kind of like, I gotta say, with the stuff that's happened in the last 6 years or so, it doesn't seem all that outrageous. You know what I mean? I mean, we had freaking pedophile island. So why would somebody having their clone ready to donate an organ be that different? Anyway, great movie, very interesting. And there's this one part, the reason that 39 brought it up is that it's not Colin McGregor. Man, I can't remember for the life of me what that dude's name is. It's going to drive me nuts. I'll look it up after the fact. I'm sure you guys will correct me. But anyway, the whole thing is that 2 of these clones escape. And now they're out in the outside world. Like, what's going on? I think they had been told that they were part of a spaceship or like on a spaceship or something like that. Or they couldn't go outside because it was toxic. I can't remember. Pretty cool idea for a movie, right? And so they go out there and now he's looking around trying to figure out where they're going. And he sees this road and he goes, oh, wait a minute, look, it says 39. But he has this really thick accent in real life. and he's trying to play off an American accent or an English accent, right? I mean, whatever, not British, but, and the way he says 39 isn't, it takes you right out of the moment, because he says like 39, he can't quite get it. And I right immediately, I was like, oh, there you go. He's got an accent in real life. But some people are better at it than others. And it's funny because those little things can tip you off to somebody having an accent when they're actually a great actor. Daniel Day-Lewis is a great example of somebody who can just become another character and you would not know that he has a British accent at all. Anyway, some interesting things have come out this week. So let's get into the latest releases. This first one I saw and I was like, what the heck is that? I almost put it as the weird pick, but it's not. This is the Dyema Minimal Wallet. It's $111. And it's a travel wallet made from Dyema composite fabric with a Velcro closure main compartment and spring-loaded coin compartment. The built-in nylon webbing tape allows the card case to be completely removed. It's just like this thing, you know, you can see through it, and it's also just, it's crazy looking. It looks like it's going to fall apart. But in fact, this Dyema fabric or material, it says here it's 15 times stronger than steel by weight and 40% stronger than aramid fiber, which I'm not really sure what that is. Highly durable against water, UV rays, and chemicals. Also used as a primary component in bulletproof vests. Now, it's made in Japan, and it just like if you're, you know, let's say you're not into leather, you know, maybe you're a vegan or something. You just, you know, you're always looking for something that's a little bit different. And I get it, man. I mean, you know, everybody should be able to live their life the way that they want to. Just because it's not what I choose to do, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. And I'm glad that things like this exist, because even for somebody who does wear leather and eat meat and stuff like that, this looks pretty cool. And I like the fact that it's made out of this wild fabric that's almost translucent, yet really, really strong. So at first I saw it, I was like, did somebody make a wallet out of Scotch tape? But it's not. It's something totally different. And hey, why not? Something that I've never understood is why more linen doesn't make its way into workwear. And I don't necessarily mean actual workwear, because let's face it, Cordura, duck canvas, and even like some, you know, synthetic fabrics and stuff really kind of reign supreme in the world of durability in workwear. But I mean, what I like and what maybe you like, which is actually more kind of a style, right? I mean, I like the workwear style because it doesn't look that different to what I wear during the day. So, you know, to me, it sort of, it fits my personality. It fits what I like to do. And I tend to enjoy dressing that way. Unfortunately, sometimes that locks you into certain fabrics, right? So denim, duck canvas, flannel, and those things only really work well when it's really, really cold out. No, not really, really cold out. I mean, just cooler, right? Not sure why I said really, really cold. But this does not. This is from Flint & Tinder. Flint & Tinder is a really cool house brand from Huckberry. And as a matter of fact, they are the ones who make the really great, it's a great deal. Not as good as it used to be, because it used to be cheaper, is their waxed trucker jacket. And that to me is like, you know, for most people, I think that is just the, that's probably all the wax trucker that most people are ever going to need. And it's actually still relatively affordable until you start getting into these really expensive ones. Tom Beckby actually just came out with a couple that I really want to check out. Originally, they had that one jacket, and then they had a women's version, and then they had a men's version. Then they came out with a lighter one, and that was the Tensol, which was a great jacket, but you know, I mean, that's what they had. And then they finally came out with a couple more like shorter models, which hopefully I'll be able to check out soon. But anyway, this is about a shirt, not about those. So this is the Crossback linen work shirt. And I see it here in navy, but they do have a couple of patterns and stuff. So, I mean, again, why can't we have something in 100% linen that looks like workwear? Well, that's exactly what this is. So, you know, it really, I got to tell you, this thing looks fantastic. And, you know, a lot of times linen either goes way too much like vacation mode, which is fine. But, you know, again, speaking of what I like to wear or whatever, or it goes a little bit too flowy and like, you know, look like Stevie Nicks or something, right? Which is not what I'm going for. So, you know, this is a great alternative. And actually, I showed it with a guy here who's wearing these sort of off-white or cream-colored trousers. And I got to say that with those buttons and that shirt looks dynamite. This thing looks great. And the cool thing, too, is that it's 118 bucks, which for linen, 100% linen and stuff, that's pretty damn good. So I am certainly tempted. This is a really nice answer to something that kind of didn't exist. And again, linen is expensive. Remember that American Giant one that I had talked about a while ago? I still love that shirt. I wear it all the time, especially in days like this where it's really hot and humid, but it's expensive. And something like this that looks as good as this does, but is 100% linen, that's a pretty good price for what looks like a great shirt. So check that out. Kato brand. Kato is one of those, I mean, I keep saying this every time I talk about them, that every time I look at their website, it seems like there's something else really cool that I want to check out. I have faced the sad reality that, unfortunately, none of their tops are ever going to fit me. They're just simply not built for guys like me who are more stocky. And, I mean, it is what it is. Guys like me, or maybe you, we have Indigo Farah. We have a lot of other brands that actually do fit us pretty well. Or your best friend is a good tailor, or learn how to do some sewing yourself, which is something that has always been on my bucket list, that I've always wanted to learn how to, just at the very least, do my own alterations and like hem my own pants and like do my own repairs. I don't need to go building anything from scratch. We actually have somebody in the Discord server who's just a phenomenal, she's actually really good at it seems like almost everything she does. I think she works in a wood shop. Her name's Kat, and she does just fantastic stuff, from doing her own patterns to making her own garments. And I mean, every time she puts something up, I'm just like blown away. And so I don't ever need to get to that level, but I would absolutely really love to learn how to maintain my own stuff or alter it. So that being said, Kato brand, that's the reason I came here. I'm really getting off on a lot of side tangents today. I'm sorry about that. But this is called the Brace Loose Weave Stripe shirt in Baja Gray. It's $278, all right, which seems like a lot. But when I look at this, it actually kind of looks like it's a shirt jacket, like it's a heavier thing. They got this dude, and I always look at the models because sometimes I just don't understand. And I think I get, like, the idea of a model isn't to show you your average person, right? A lot of times models they kind of have a bizarre look to them, right? They're not exactly attractive. They're just kind of unique looking. And they're usually very skinny so that the clothes kind of hang off of them. And I do prefer when somebody who actually looks like somebody I've met in real life wears the clothes, because then I can like go, okay, well, that's probably how it'll look on me. If they had a guy who was, a little more stocky wearing it, then I go, okay, well, there you go. And I think Iron Shop Provisions, the guy who they have doing their modeling, actually, I think is probably a good example of what I'm talking about. This model is wearing, I guess, leather pants. Are they leather pants? Are they PVC coated denim? Yeah. You know what? They might just be, I don't know what the heck these things are. Are they just new starchy denim? I don't know. To me, that looks a little weird. But anyway, this is about the shirt. Let's not talk about the denim. Although it looks weird. I don't like it. I just don't like that. Why would you do that? You're out in the desert. What are you wearing that stuff for? You're probably miserable. You look miserable. If you're that model, I'm sorry. They probably just told you what to wear. Let's talk about the shirt, though. I really dig this shirt. It has a very cool retro vibe to it. And what I mean by that is, look at the color palette. Back in the day, in the 70s and early 80s, this was sort of the thing, right? Those like shades of orange and yellow. And that's what they have here. They have this sort of gradient with a little bit of blue being, an opposite color to kind of add some contrast and some pop. But this looks like a really cool shirt, especially like an overshirt. And I don't know, man. I just saw this color and I was like, wow, that's really nice. So, hey, nice job, Kato, with this. And the fabric itself also, I think there's some details of it somewhere. It looks really cool because it's sort of this chunky weave, so you can see a lot of texture in there, almost like some herringbone patterns, which I just think looks dynamite. And this thing looks great. I don't know how it fits. Again, I kind of think that it'll probably be too big or too small on me, but whatever. They have a couple of other colors too, but this one in particular, I don't know, man. This looks really good. I could just see throwing this on top of whatever, or having it as your kind of go-to, overshirt in the summer. That's a nice looking piece. Speaking of Iron Shop provisions, here's my dude. He is wearing the new Ironheart 18-ounce Salvage Denim Storm Rider jacket. Now, when you look at this jacket, immediately you know that it's emulating the Lee 101J Storm Rider, which is a classic. But I kind of like what they've done here because they've taken that same look, but added the Ironheart flair to it. So you still have those beautiful curved pockets. You have that overall kind of old school look, the contrasting stitching. It's just, this is beautiful. And I really like what they did with the lining too. If you did see my video about the Detroit jacket, they were talking about how one of the ways they could date the Detroit jacket was by which way the stripes went in the liner. And originally the stripes went from left to right, horizontally. And then at some point they switched to vertical stripes. This has the horizontal stripes. So again, it's kind of an homage to this classic Lee jacket that is, you can see it all over the place. It's all over the, Hollywood and all that stuff, and just been a staple in kind of Western wear for a long time. They've also done corduroy lined pockets, and that's really cool. As a matter of fact, I have bought a jacket simply on the way my hands felt when I put them in the pockets. That would be the Free Note Cloth RJ2, I think it was. And that was the shearling line one because they had lined the pockets with satin. And I was like, oh my God, I've never had my hand in a satin pocket before. It was beautiful. It was like, again, I mean, this is what rich people must feel like all the time. And this thing looks great. I think that if you're somebody who is maybe waiting for the original or likes this style, but simply doesn't like the way that, what you can get online or from Lee or secondhand or whatever, this is a great, or if you're looking to just take that and up your quality by quite a bit, this is a great way to do it. $535, which I know is on the higher end of denim, but Ironheart, they don't skimp on anything. Their stuff is, kind of among the top brands that when in terms of quality for a reason. And this right here is just spectacular looking. I think they did a great job. Looks like they've used a couple of different colors of thread in there as well. I love when brands will do that as long as it's not too obnoxious. And they just did a beautiful job on this. It looks great. And there you go. A dude who looks like a guy I would hang out with wearing the jacket. So now I could at least see what it would look like if I bought it and wore it. So nice. From Hinoya, well, actually, the company is Headlight. This is what's amazing, all right? I remember when, again, going back to that Carhartt archive trip, there was a label I saw on one of the Detroit jackets that said Carhartt Headlight Fink. And I was like, what is that? And the archivist told me that at that point that Carhartt had acquired Headlight overalls. And so their name was in the tag, which I thought was really cool. So this is what's interesting, okay? We have this piece here, which is $255, the 11-ounce Hickory stripe work coat. And $255, it's not too bad. I mean, this is a classic kind of chore coat type of layout from a really cool old school brand. Hickory stripe is a look. There's no doubt about it. But it's very old school, and I think it looked really, really cool. I wish that more companies would offer railroad stripe. But immediately when I saw this, as nice as it is, and $255 is not a bad price, I was immediately reminded of the new brand that Cockpit USA acquired and is now putting out there, and that would be Payday. And Payday, now I said this when they originally came out with these, I think they're just charging a little bit too much for what it is. And so I went over there and I found the kind of a similar jacket that they offer, and that would be the Payday Railroad Pinstripe Workman's Jacket, which is, again, like a hickory stripe type of chore coat, and they're getting $365 for it. In my opinion, if I'm looking at these two jackets, and they are very, very similar, right? Unlined, hickory stripe. They have the cool embossed, or actually I think it's debossed brass buttons. I'm going to save $100. I'm going to go with the Headlight. Now, it kind of pains me to say that because Cockpit USA, man, they make some really cool stuff, and the people who I've met over there are very cool. I just think that they're a little bit off base with their pricing here. $365 for a hickory stripe jacket when your competitor who's offering something that's very, very similar for $100 less. Nobody is really dedicated to the name Payday or the name Headlight because those are retro brands, right? And let's face it, like the way they were made back then, It's probably, you know, kind of different than the way it is now because they used to be made in a certain factory, probably here in the USA, and now they're either being made in Japan or whatever. So they're different. Maybe they're better. I don't know. But $100 more for a retro brand, which, let's face it, if you're buying this, you're not going to be working in it. You're buying it because it looks cool, and that's totally fine. $100 less gets you the same look. I'm going with the one that's $100 less, and that would be the one from Headlight. So, you know, Cockpit, I hope you maybe take my advice. I don't know. I mean, I just think that it's $100 too much. All right, finally, we're going to end on something that's a little bit different. I've never talked about watches on this channel because if you know me, I bought my Oris Aquis in green, and I have not really wanted another watch since then. Now, I wear my Apple Watch Ultra mostly for the workout tracking and stuff. I also do like a lot of the features. A couple of things that I use on this thing all the time is the UV index marker here, the weather application. And actually, I really like to use this too because when we go and we swim in that lake that I showed you last week, I'll give it to my daughter because she likes to see how deep she can get the dive setting on it. So I actually use quite a few of the features. The other thing I really like about this, and this is not about the Apple Watch Ultra, where we're talking about something else, but the other thing I really like about this is that I'll play my JBL Bluetooth speaker, and I can actually adjust the volume on the side here with the crown, and I could skip songs or whatever from the water. And we're not playing music really loud, and it's just more or less so our little group can hear it. But if I want to adjust it, and I get out to the water, I go, ooh, it's a little loud. Maybe I'll just crank that down a little bit. Or a song comes on that I don't like or whatever, I can adjust it right from there. I actually do get a lot of use out of my Apple Watch, which, I mean, admittedly, it's not the best looking watch, which is why I still give my Aquis plenty of wear time. But I have never wanted another watch. I've seen ones that I think are nice and stuff, but I mean, you know, for the most part, I'm good. I like my watch and I'm happy with it. I wish I could say that about almost anything else because we tend to like collect things or say, ooh, look at that pair of boots or that jacket or whatever. For some reason, the itch was just scratched with my Oris. And in a way, thank God, because these things get very expensive. Although Oris did come out with another green-faced watch I really, really like. This is I'm gonna try to say this. The Okavango Air Rescue Limited Edition. Wow, look at the color on this thing. First of all, it's expensive. It's $2,600. Oris stuff is that's the other thing I liked about it. It's not a Rolex. It's not an Omega. It's not like, you know, something that somebody's going to see and steal, although it does have some nice horological history. I like the fact that they're tool watches. They're meant to be worn. This also has some really cool knurling around the edge that I think looks really nice. It's not quite a coin edge. It's on an angle, so it actually reminds me of almost like a gear, or like I said, maybe something that you would see on a tool. I love that. But what they've done here with the face of this one in particular, that sort of lime green thing, yeah, that's beautiful. They did a nice job. It's also big enough. A lot of times I don't like the little tiny watches. I have pretty big wrists, so that a lot of times they look like I'm wearing a women's watch or something. So I like a bigger watch. This is a 41 millimeter case, which is nice and kind of in that sweet spot. I just think they did a really, really nice job here. And a lot of times they do these cool, you know, limited editions here. And this is just, oof, what a beautiful look. I love that color. I'm a sucker for green. What can I say? And this one looks really nice. If I was going to get a dress watch to offset my diver, this would be a contender. There's no doubt about it. All right, we're going to go ahead and transition over to the patrons section of this video. For the rest of you watching on regular old YouTube, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Stick with me because we have a lot of great things. We're starting to get into the fall now, right? Like, I mean, it's August, and I know I had only one person called me out for it, but in that Detroit Jacket video, I said August by accident. I actually filmed it in July, and one person was like, August? I'm like, oh boy, you know, I don't know why I said August, but whatever. But now is when things start to come out for September, October, November. So we're going to start seeing some really cool things coming out. I actually have a couple. The Workhorse will be making a return. We're going to do some of the standard ones that people sort of wanted and then couldn't get, and then one that's going to be a little bit different. And we actually have all three of those all planned out, so I think you're going to like what you see. If you liked the original lightweight or the original heavyweight, in some of the more standard colors, then that's fine. And then we did one that I think you're really going to dig, which is a little bit left of center, and it's just, it's really interesting and unique. The other one I have coming out is my collaboration with Field Leathers. If you had seen that, it looks amazing. The final version should be here next week. With any luck, I'll be able to show it to you next week on this episode, or the next episode rather. And it is a rough out Type 2 jacket. I've always wanted to do, but it has Greg Field's flair to it. He's just a phenomenal maker. He's the guy who over at Arrow was the dude who you wanted to make your jacket. A lot of people would request Greg specifically. Then he broke off into doing Field Leathers. He's been doing it for a few years now, and the company has grown, and it's just been great to see him and his success. So we've done a couple of collaborations in the past. The B-3 Bomber was a big success, and now this one, which is going to be, I think, I don't know, man. I got to tell you, he does some just beautiful work, and I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to show it to you. And then finally, we do have, of course, the Thursday Boots collaboration, which is one to show the patrons right now, because we have our next to finish. I think it's like the third run of samples. The next one will be the final one, but this one right here was the one we kind of talked about the details. So I'm going to show that to my patrons now. Anyway, for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching. We have a lot of great stuff coming up, so I really appreciate you being here and spending your morning with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.